What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Fitment Industries Garage. More specifically, welcome to another episode of What Wheels Fit, where we dive into different cars and take a good, solid look at what wheel, tire, and suspension setups fit and what they look like. I'm Giles from Fitment Industries, and before we go ahead and get right into it, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And once you watch this and find out, what wheels are going to fit your 8th generation Honda Civic, stop on over to fitmentindustries.com, where we not only have wheels, we have tires, and we also have suspension, of course. Anyway, we've covered a few different generations of the Civic, and it was due time for us to cover the 8th generation. Now, the 8th generation, as you probably know, ran from 2006 to 2011, at least here in the United States. Saw a ton of different trim levels and facelift here or there, and really became a popular car for people to start throwing aftermarket parts at, just like any good Honda Civic should be. So what we're gonna do today is pull some Civics that have been uploaded to the Fitment gallery over at fitmentindustries.com and take a look at what they're running as far as wheels, tires, and suspension. And what we're gonna do is then break them down into some different categories, ranging from some more conservative setups to like some pretty wild and out there crazy extreme setups. That being said, let's start with something simple and go over some wheel, tire, and suspension examples that would be good for someone who's looking to, throw some aftermarket stuff on their car, but still want it to be daily drivable and not have to worry about like fender rolling or rubbing or anything like that. First up in this category, we have a 2008 Civic Si with some shift clutch wheels. Now these are a 17 by 8.5 plus 35 with a 205/45 tire. This car is sitting on some coilovers, and the setup does not require fender rolling or fender liner trimming of any sort to get the wheels to fit, which actually seems to be quite common even with the less aggressive setups. However, this one does not require any of that. Next up, we have a 2009 Civic EX with some ESR SR07s, 17 by 8.5 plus 30, so going down and offset just a little bit, bringing that wheel out a little more. With a 215/45 tire and sending on some coilovers again. And then to close out this list of cars, we have a 2008 with some Avid 1 AV30s, bumping it up diameter into an 18-inch, which is where we start to see fender rolling become almost a must. 18 by 8.5 plus 35 with a 225/40 hand-cooked tire, and this one too sitting on some coilovers for the suspension choice. So like I mentioned, this car does have its fenders rolled just to make sure that there are no rubbing issues. Moving into our next categories, where we start to see some more aggressive setups start to come into play, where at very least there's some sort of fender rolling or something going on, or additional suspension components to start to dial in the fitment and so forth. So that being said, first up in this list, we have a lovely 2008 SI rocking some Enkei RPF1s, classic choice on pretty much any car, 17 by 9 plus 35 with some Nitto Neogen tires, 215/45 for the size, and then sitting on some Skunk 2 coilovers. A similar setup here with this 2008 with some Grandlight 57 DRs, 17 by 9 plus 38 this time, with some Toyo Proxes T1 tires, 245/40 for the size, and then sitting on some D2 coilovers. So both of these are very similar setups, and I think they look really good and only require some minimal fender rolling just to get everything to fit, but it looks really solid. Going up to 18-inch diameter, we see this 2009 with some MB Battles, 18 by 9 plus 38, so similar width and offset compared to what we just looked at, but going up a bit in diameter. These are wrapped in some Nankings, 205/40 for the size, so a bit of a stretch on there, and then sitting on some Skunk 2 coilover. Fenders are pulled and rolled to make sure the setup fits. And then moving into our final car of this category, we get to a 2007 4-door SI with some Heritage Hokkaidos. Now these are an 18 by 9.5 plus 22 with a 215/35 tire, sitting on some good old Tane coilovers. Fenders rolled, pulled, however, this thing looks absolutely killer. I love this setup on this car. Quick note on the suspension too, that it does have some SPC camber arms and camber bolts up front to help dial in that fitment. Now moving on to our final category of the day, we're gonna be going over a mashup of different cars from the gallery that are either super low or are fitting some pretty big ass wheel setups. Obviously, as you would expect, these cars are going to have extensive modifications done to suspension, to fenders, and anything else. And it usually takes some time and money to get it right, but we like to go over them as well because it's just good information for those looking to do it. So first up in this list, we have a 2009 SI with some Kansei KMPs, 18 by 9.5 plus 22 with a 215/35 Nanking tire, sitting on some Airlift Performance air suspension. Fender liners are just gone. They just completely removed them, and fenders are rolled and pulled. Followed by this 2008 with some Whistler KR1 17 by 9 plus 25 with a 215/40 tire, again sitting on some air suspension. And just kind of cruising right along here so we can get through it, we get to our first staggered setup of the day, which is this 2008 with some Work VSXXs, 17 by 10 plus 10 in the front and a 17 by 11 plus 11 in the rear. Now those are some pretty big boys on a Honda Civic. With a 215/40 and a 215/45 tire paired with some air suspension, the owner is able to make this setup work pretty damn well. And then to close out the day here, we have a pretty wild 2008 rocking a pretty impressive set of Imperial wheels, 18 by 10.5, -10 in the front, and an 18 by 12, -20 in the rear. 215/40 and a 235/40 for the tire size, and as you guessed it, it is sitting on air suspension. Some pretty extensive modifications to get these wheels to fit, including some aftermarket fenders in the front to widen out that front just a few centimeters, just to get, you know, that good fitment and fit, you know, that massive wheel up front. But that is going to wrap it up for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully this helped you out in your journey to find a new set of wheels, tires, or suspension for your car. Of course, if you didn't see anything that you really liked, feel free to check out fitmentindustries.com. Hop on over to the gallery, check them out for yourself. It's where we pulled all of these cars from. There's hundreds, I mean literally hundreds, if not thousands of more Civics for you to look at. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Wheels, tires, suspension, fitmentindustries.com. I'm Gels. We'll see you later. Peace.